Here I am at Comic-Con with Natural Terminator. I'm not really sure what's happening here, but I think that he is looking at me and I'm kind of scared. So I'm going to be moving slowly. Living in Los Angeles has a ton of advantages. Apart from being the mecca of the film industry, we are also very lucky to be one of the biggest places for conventions. This summer I had the good luck of being able to attend Comic-Con. So as you can tell, we are here at Comic-Con, and it's pretty crazy. There's a lot of people around here, a lot of costumes, a lot of crazy stuff happening all over, a lot of exclusives, a lot of people doing autographs and all that stuff. It's honestly a little bit overwhelming because you don't really know where to look. But it's cool. Like, there's definitely a lot of really awesome stuff around here, and this is definitely something that happens in Hollywood. Whenever you're close to LA, there's going to be some big conventions and stuff, and San Diego is only 2 hours away from LA, so this is one of the perks of living in a pretty popular city. You get to have the biggest ever convention of comic books in the whole world. Although there's Comic-Cons and stuff like that in other cities nowadays just because it's so popular, but yeah, the nerds are taking over, and it's not anymore a bad thing to like superheroes and all that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of amazing to me, at least. As you can tell from the images that I was able to film, the convention is completely packed. There are literally thousands and thousands of people that travel from all around the world in order to attend the various panels that are being presented. What's crazy about the whole city of San Diego is that during Comic-Con, the whole city actually becomes kind of like a convention center. It becomes this sort of beautiful place that has all these things that are catered to all the comic book fans, to people who love Hollywood, video games, and all that stuff. Originally, Comic-Con was a place for comic book artists to share their work with their fans, but with the advent of Marvel, DC, and the fact that all superhero-related stuff became extremely popular, being a nerd or fan of superhero comics became trendy and actually cool. Also, as time passed by and the evolution of the toy business expanded, more and more big studios started to flock towards presenting their new movies, shows, and cartoons. After all, since there are thousands and thousands of people coming to this convention, it makes sense for big studios to advertise their new shows or movies. There's just so much to see, honestly, it's kind of overwhelming. I don't really know where to look. There's a camera pointing at me, there's so many people around. There's like people waiting in line and going to I don't know what. I guess that there's a new thing. Oh, there's a new Harry Potter happening. That's kind of cool. Oh, hey, how you doing? It's Deadpool. Pretty cool. Let's take a selfie.
Would you look at that? It seems like we have ourselves a finished painting.
So this is pretty much every nerd's dream. As an 80s kid, we thought that nerds were uncool, but I guess things have changed. The tables have changed, and literally what was nerdy back in the days is pretty darn cool.
Get those nerds! Nerd! Nerd!
And I do put responsible Hollywood, definitely, because they put a lot of the really cool underground stuff and highlighted it. And by doing so, well, people loved it. They saw that there's so much potential in all these cool ideas that were pretty much underground and only catered to nerds and stuff back in the day. And yeah, this is pretty darn awesome. And that's a little too scary for me, but yeah. Hi.
One thing that really struck me this year were the likes of Mattel, Lego, Disney. WWF, and many other toy companies where they are re-releasing a ton of old toys from the early 80s, such as Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, and so many more. Oh, and of course, I can't forget to mention the original toy that started it all, and that's Star Wars. George Lucas really pioneered how films could expand their revenue by branching out its movies into toys, memorabilia, games, and so many things. What's even more crazy about the whole selling strategy for these companies is that people like me who would dream of buying all of these type of action figurines as a child, well, now that I'm a responsible adult that makes money, I'm able to buy all the toys that I dreamt of as a kid. Basically, they are catering to the nostalgia of getting us to reminisce about the past, fulfilling our childhood dreams, and at the same time getting the current generation addicted to the toys that we loved as children.
So if you're an 80s kid like me, well, this is pretty darn exciting. Mattel Toy Store, they're He-Man, Masters of the Universe. This is literally the stuff I grew up with. And apparently they have a bunch of new toys and stuff like that with articulating arms and articulating junctions, because as a kid, they used to have these Masters of the Universe figures and they didn't really move that much, so we had to have a lot of imagination. But nowadays it's just kind of cool. They added a bunch of articulating arms and all that stuff, and they're bringing back the toys. And in some way, I think that the people who are in their 30s are the ones that are buying all this old vintage stuff in some way and keeping it alive. As you can tell, Comic-Con is not just for nerding out. It's actually for regular movies, regular entertainment, for the normal piece, as they say. But yeah, there's so much stuff happening, showing the new shows, I guess, or previews of stuff to come for the new season. But here we have ABC. They're here. Everything's happening right here. They're having photo ops and all that stuff. It's definitely, Comic-Con has changed a lot. I don't think that it's catered so much to just comic books. It's almost like 50-50 is between Hollywood stuff, the stuff that you're going to see very soon at the movie theater, and then it's crossed over by a bunch of comic book stuff, and then card games and toys and all these things. We'll blame George Lucas for having done all this Star Wars memorabilia and all these toy lines and stuff like that, and they got them popular because the kids that bought them as kids, well, now they're adults, and guess what? They have money to spend, and if you have money to spend, well, you buy stuff, and you buy the things that you couldn't get as a kid. So here we go.
Another thing that really amazes me more and more each year is the presence of a ton of major movie studios. In order to advertise their new shows or movies, they will hold a ton of panels that will often have the stars of the show, as well as the producers and directors talking about it. Apart from being great advertisement, by actually having celebrities attend these conventions, they can cater to the whole fan base that basically goes crazy for meeting their heroes. Some panels are so popular that people will actually queue and spend the night waiting to get a proper spot at that said panel. Well, a show knows it's made it big when people are flocking to hear about it.
And another big thing here at Comic-Con is video games. There are so many darn video games everywhere. It's so huge. I don't even know where to look. It's crazy.
Big studios such as Capcom, Nintendo, Namco, and so many more are really prevalent within this space. What you have to understand is that many video games will not stop at just being a game. They will become action figurines, memorabilia, cartoons, 3D, animated movies, sometimes even movies, and even the stories within those games are extremely intricate and will require motion captured actors. Some games are lucky enough to not just be a game, but also big Hollywood movies, and I assure you, not all video game related movies will flop like the original Super Mario Bros. Film.
I'd call them the Super Mario Brothers.
Now that's crazy. Spider-Man is actually playing his own character in the video game Spider-Man.
Lastly, we can't forget the comic book artists that are presenting their work. They are, after all, the original main emphasis of the convention. It is called Comic-Con for a reason. These artists will usually have their table and will be presenting their work. You can talk to them and ask them what comic books they've worked on. A ton of them, even though they may have worked for big franchises, will also have their own comic characters and comic books that are in development or even released. Even though these artists are kind of overtaken by the movie studios that are presenting their work at the convention, we can't forget that without these artists, we wouldn't have any characters to watch in these franchises. Sometimes I feel that being a comic book artist is kind of ungrateful because we only see their drawings and don't really realize that there's a person drawing these characters. So if you're ever attending such a type of convention, I really urge you to give a good chunk of your time to the actual artists. We as a society will usually flock towards shiny things, but sometimes the more hidden treasures are the ones that will give you the best experiences. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I certainly know that I had an amazing time traveling to San Diego in order to attend the biggest comic book pop culture convention in the world. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. If you have a Comic-Con or other convention-related story, let me know and share it in the comments section. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.